I was just having a similar conversation with a friend a couple of days ago about how that elitism, because that's really what it is, what we were just talking about, that's elitism, how that is ableist, and it's also privilege involved with that. You know, no particular color with that privilege, but just like not everybody has that amount of disposable income. It's just like you were saying, not everybody has that amount of disposable time.
Right.
Yeah, you might have somebody who has all the skills and the money to do it, but they don't feel like doing it. They might say, you know what, I got a busy schedule this year, I'm gonna just pay somebody else to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And like you said, it's ableism too. It's like not everybody's able to do it. Like, exactly. You know, I'm sure there's people out there that literally like physically don't have the ability to make some of these cosplays, and you're gonna fault them because they weren't able to make it. Like, there's so many factors that go into it, and it's not, there's too many gray factors to make it black and white. You either made it or you didn't. Like, no. Yeah. Why are you thinking like that? Why can't we all just enjoy each other's geekiness, and like we're all here for the same reason? Because we're nerds. So let's just enjoy each other's company.
Yeah. So when you mentioned you said you made your first EVA foam armor. Was it the cane, the Saiyan cane? Was that it?
Yeah, that was the first time I had ever used EVA foam to make anything like that, like anything that big. I've used it before as like an accessory or whatever, to make earrings or to make or whatever else, but I had never used EVA foam to make an entire thing of armor. And I was putting it off forever. I had this idea to do the cane Saiyan for months, and I put it off until like the last week because I was like I finally did, like I had a friend come over and wrap me up in Saran wrap, and like so I can do all the measuring and everything, and I cut everything out. And I remember I would stare at the pieces and I'm like, I don't know what to do. Sat in the closet for a while, like they were all labeled, and I'm like, I don't think I can do it. So I left it there. Finally, I was like, okay, I got like a week left. I'm just gonna glue them all together, and I have a Dremel, and so I was like, whatever didn't fit, I kind of had to like sand down and try to piece it all together, and I did, and it didn't come out exactly how I wanted to. I wanted it to have a more female shape, but it didn't work out like that. So I was like, all right, well, male armor it is. So that came out, and then it came out okay, and I was like, okay, I can do this. And then once the paint came in, I was like, I can do paint all day. That's my specialty. Yeah. Like, I know what I'm doing when it comes to that. It was the armor and stuff that I was like, I don't know, like, he made it beautiful. Yeah. It was extremely frustrating. But it worked, and I mean, I had the right tools for it. I had bought a heat gun, I had bought a Dremel, I had bought all this barge and everything. I did a lot of research into it before so I made sure that I had the right tools. It wouldn't have come out nearly as it did. I could do way better, I think, now that the thing is that I was lacking the confidence because I had never done anything like that before. Yeah. And I finally just did it. I'm like, all right, I'm going to chug half this bottle of wine and I'm going to do it. and I did. And, you know, like I said, it came out okay. And I'm very happy that I was finally able to get that experience in. And now I think, you know, the next time it'll be a little bit better and a little bit better. But it takes a long time to really learn that. Like, again, that took me weeks to finally put together. And that was my first one, you know? So I can only imagine how long it takes for people to get really, really good at it.
Right.
What I mean, like, I know there's a prop maker, Cosplay Corp. He does, you know him. He makes the same. Amazing. He sells it, I mean, for like $400, $500, $600, but there's a reason. One, it's flawless, it's beautiful, and two, it takes him forever to do it. So it's like, you know, some people don't have that kind of time, skill, or, you know, money to put all that together. So sometimes you want to pay someone to do it, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, and the lesson you learned, I remember learning that myself recently. Like, there's the last two mashups I did would have been done 2 years ago or 2 years prior had I just tried myself. I automatically assumed that I couldn't do the thing that I wanted. Like, for my Sith Jafar, I wanted Jafar's snakehead staff to also be a lightsaber. and then also for my I mixed Rain from Mortal Kombat with Prince, because he was named after Prince. So I wanted to make that guitar, but make it kind of in like a Mortal Kombat style. With both of those, I ended up making them myself, and once I did it, I was like, I could have done this the whole time, but I underestimated myself and assumed that I couldn't do it. So I'm looking around trying to see who can make it. I'm looking at all these different lightsaber makers and saying, hey, can you do this? Can you do this? And then when I will finally find somebody, and then like, okay, that's the price. Okay, let me go save up. They ghost on me. I can't find them. Or I found one guy straight up said, I'm not really into mashups. And I'm like, so is that you saying you're not going to do it?
I didn't ask you.
Right. Was that supposed to be a no? Like, you're not mashing up. I'm mashing up. I'm just asking you to make it.
I guess it's asking some help, man. What?
Right. So there was that. And then with the Prince guitar, it was like trying to find out who same thing, trying to find out who can make it. People either couldn't make it as big as I wanted, or they couldn't do it at all. Or I find somebody who can make it, I save up, I can't find them anymore. And finally did it, and it wasn't like the most spectacular job in the world, but it was good enough to do what I wanted.
Yeah.
And I realized, dang it, if you don't know what you can do until you just try.
So you're pushed to there, and pushed to that like place where you have to do it yourself. You have no other choice, and then you do it. And honestly, that's how cosplay is. You just gotta jump into it and figure it out.
Yeah. So I was thinking back on that saying Kane. I meant to ask you earlier, what got you into wrestling? Because I know for me, my mom of all got me into it. My dad, my dad can't stand it. He couldn't stand it, but my mom got me into it. So I was like, I love that she got me into it. So I was always curious to know what got you into the wrestling.
So it was my dad and my cousins. I grew up with a lot of male cousins that were super into wrestling, and me and my dad would watch it every Monday, every Thursday. We watched, Monday on SmackDown, and growing up, I was like late 90s, 2000s. I mean, I was so into it. Like, I had the Hardy Boys and Lita plastered all over my walls.
Right.
It was, I loved them. I had the wrestling ring, I had the figures, and I had all the things, all things wrestling. And I ended up meeting Lita at one of the conventions years ago, and it was like meeting a superhero. I was just like, I was like, oh my God, I love you so much. I was like, I used to have you all over my walls. She's so sweet. She's so nice. But yeah, it was my family. My dad and my cousins were the ones that I grew up with them, and we grew up wrestling, and that was the thing, is the boys were always playing rough, and I'm like, oh, I play too. And until my cousin did the Walls of Jericho on me once, and I was like, I don't want to play anymore. Like, I'm done. This hurts.
I think that makes a lot of people not want to play, even wrestlers themselves. Like that. Yeah, that's how you know joke. Yeah. It's
so fun. I dated a wrestler for a while, and like he would practice moves on me, and I'm like, I hate this. I don't want to do this.
Like, this comes with the relationship.
Oh, he was like, oh, it's just a hold. I'm like, this is the worst. I'm like, leave me alone. But yeah, it's a great fandom to get into. It's a great. I loved it, and I fell out of it for a while, and I still pop in here and there. But when it's your generation, it's kind of like, oh, it's never going to be the same as it was back then, and that's how I feel about it. And I was so lucky to grow up in the time that I did, when everything was so out of control, and TLC matches and everything. So fun, the glory days.
I miss those. Yeah, I'm the same. Like, if it's on, I'll watch it, but I don't check for it as much as I used to. Like, I kind of know the wrestlers' names, but I haven't been watching it a lot. Like, yeah, I think the last time I actually religiously watched it was when WCW and WWE back then, when they were merging. Well, not merging, but WWF had bought out WCW, so of course they did the whole takeover thing. I remember. Yeah. Booker T rolling up, and somebody's chasing him in the back or whatever like that. This was like 2002, 2003.
Yeah, it sounds familiar.
yeah. So that's the last time I was really invested in it. I think I remember watching back in my roommate days. One of my roommates was into it, so we had a WrestleMania party, and I remember Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels, that match.
Okay.
And that was the worst tombstone I'd ever seen. You know how like if somebody does a tombstone or a pile driver, you know, they do it in a way that you can tell their head didn't really go into the ground. I think Undertaker tried to just have mercy on Shawn Michaels, and Shawn Michaels slapped him, and you just saw this look on his face. He was like, "No, you did not." And he, when I tell you, he got him in the tombstone, and he literally jumped like there was air between his head and the ground. I was like, there was some angst behind that. Like that was real.
You're like, oh, this is real. I actually. I tried to do the Royal Rumble, like the game, where it was like you get people together to watch a Royal Rumble and you draw numbers out of a hat.
Right.
And whoever has the winning number at the end, you know, whoever comes out, like if you have number 4 and the 4th person to come out is, you know, Matt Hardy or something. And he ends up winning everything, you know, you get to win whatever it is. And it's always like a dumb prize, but it makes it more fun. And also, like, Kofi Kingston is one of my favorite people to watch during the Rumble. He's everybody's favorite at this point. So yeah, the Royal Rumble is something I always try to tune into because it's just so fun and like it's so creative with it. WrestleMania too, but like WrestleMania is it's a lot of theatrics now. You know, and it's a long show, so it's
I think it is.
Where I'm watching, I gotta be able to fast forward because it gets to be a lot. But there's a lot of cool things happening in wrestling these days. You know, especially with all the women's wrestling, and you know they're finally getting the recognition that they deserve on professional athletes level versus you know TNA like it used to be back in the early 2000s. So
that has come a long way. I'm glad. I'm glad it's they're finally getting the attention they deserve, because like that does so much for just representation matters is all I can really say.
100%.
Like, you know, like for everybody who you know craps on that, is like when you're used to seeing yourself on the screen, you know, then you don't know how much it means to somebody else who has never seen or very rarely seen it.
Right, and I think that's one of the biggest things too, is like, you know, seeing that representation of like, you know, the women too, where before was like you got to see all these women, they were beautiful and they were fit and they were whatever, and then you see women nowadays that are coming out and they're a little bit bigger, and you're like, oh, like, okay, let's see what she can do. And like now you have all these different races, all these different sizes, and it's not just TNA matches and like, you know, Jerry Lawler screaming, release the puppy. Like it's serious wrestling now, and you have incredible talent. And I know for me growing up watching Lita, that's why she was an inspiration for me, because she was the tomboy, she was the girl that was one of the boys, and that's how I felt growing up. And to see that was just like, you know, it was awesome. Really cool seeing that. I can imagine how other people feel when they finally get to see themselves, you know, in the wrestling ring or screen, or you know. And it's like Ali right now, you know. Ali he's just making strides, and he's making, you know, there's people out there that have never been able to see themselves represented in a positive manner before, because, you know, the WWE and wrestling has always put such racism and racist stereotypes in their wrestling. To see somebody like Ali be represented in a positive manner and people love him, you know, it's incredible. It's incredible. And he's a phenomenal person, and he is an incredible athlete. So I'm really happy that, you know, they're breaking these barriers, because they need to be broken. It's been a long time, and I'm very happy that it's finally starting to happen. I love it. One other thing I want to get into before we wrap up, I think we were talking about this off camera, and I totally forgot to come back to it. So the whole Patreon thing, like, I want to ask that, because I'm pretty sure there are a lot of people who have so many misconceptions about it, people who think that it's all about this thing and it's not. As someone who is on Patreon, can you school everybody, like, let people know what it really is and is not about? So that's the beautiful thing about Patreon, is it can be literally anything that you want it to be. It's a subscription-based website where people will subscribe based on the tiers. Could be $1 tier, could be $1,000 tier, could be whatever you want. and every tier gets a certain amount of rewards per month. And I think the stigma behind it is that if you're on Patreon, you're doing nude modeling, you know, and while that is the case for some cosplayers, if we're strictly talking cosplayers, that is the case for some of them.
Yeah.
A lot of them are doing, you know, lewds, maybe not nudes, but they're doing lewds. But then there's cosplayers out there that are doing tutorials, you know, they're doing, like, they're selling their wig tutorials. There's a cosplayer that I follow, and that's actually why I pledged their Patreon, is because she has these amazing wig tutorials, and I buy her books, and I want to support her or whatever. And, you know, there's other people that do tutorials for foam and stuff like that. So it's not just the lewd stuff. It's not just the sexy cosplay stuff. That being said, but like you know, we had discussed this before. Is and this is, again, I'll reiterate it, is women have been sexualized for decades and decades in cosplay, or in video games, in comic books, in movies, and for people to get upset, you know, over these cosplayers doing sexy cosplays on Snapchat or on their newsfeed, you know, because they're making money. Like, the men have been doing it forever. They've been making money sexualizing women. But the minute that women want to make money sexualizing themselves, it's like blasphemy. And it's very hypocritical, and it's something that, you know, that's kind of what I always throw in people's faces. I'm like, so why is it that now that this person's making money, why does that upset you? Like, and there's never an answer for that, you know? There's never a good comeback for that. And the thing is that if people want to pay for stuff, whatever it may be, whether it's they want to pay to see somebody, you know, make a tutorial for wigs, or they want to see somebody do a sexy Bowsette cosplay, who cares? If you don't want to see it, then don't pay for it.
Don't pay for it. Keep scrolling.
Exactly. Keep scrolling. Don't pledge. And that's the thing, is that, you know, we had talked about this before too. Cosplay is not cheap. It's a very expensive hobby. And you know, a lot of these people that do not cosplay don't really realize that. And it's like a lot of the cosplayers that use Patreon are doing it to support their hobby, to continue doing this stuff. And you know, it's a fun thing to do. I know for me, I've made a lot of friends actually through Patreon. I've met a lot of cool people, and I get to connect with people that follow my cosplay on a whole different level. And, you know, they get, I know I was telling you before too, like, I'm working on an original character, and I'm working on a project with that original character. And, you know, everybody on my Patreon has been able to give me input, give me feedback. They've been choosing the name. They've been choosing like little things and helping me, you know, put this together. And, you know, that's one of the perks or whatever. And, you know, you can do whatever you want. It's an endless thing. Endless possibilities on that website. And the stigma behind it is unfortunate. And I wish more people would be more supportive of those that are, you know, just trying to support their hobby, you know?
Exactly. Yeah, like you said, if somebody's willing to pay for it, why not do it? You know, nobody's putting a gun to this poor geeky guy's head and making them do it. They're not being taken advantage of. You know, nobody's making, so it's, like you said, very hypocritical. Like, all of a sudden guys become prudes. All of a sudden they become like, oh, now because the woman is actually making money off of it, now you got a problem with the boobs showing, the legs showing, or whatever else. It's like, you were liking this before, but now all of a sudden that she's making profit of it, now you got an issue. Like,
and it's a very ugly side of Patreon and of cosplay, of people in general, society in general, is that they see women trying to make money by showing off, you know, their bodies or whatever, completely disregarding the fact that, you know, a lot of these people that do that stuff, they work hard at their bodies. They pay their clothes in the work, their time at the gym.
They didn't wake up like this, like some people say. Like this.
Exactly. They're not. This isn't how they just wake up. They go to the gym. They make it happen. And aside from that, they do work on, like, you know, with Jessica. I always botch her last name. Jessica Negri. Or Negri. She gets a lot of backlash from people, usually men. You know, because she'll do sexy cosplay here and there, and they completely forget the fact that she's an amazing prop maker too. She does crazy stuff with stuff. She's got incredible cosplays that are just big and beautiful, but because she'll do a Bikini Bowsette, they're like, oh, but she's talentless. It's like, wait, why are you not looking at this? So it's unfortunate. It's a very ugly side of things. But at the end of the day, nobody's forcing you to pay for anything. Nobody's forcing you to do anything. Like, you're angry because you don't see that girl in a bikini for free. Like, then angry, you know? There's nothing you can do about that. These people got to make a living too.
Yeah. I had a thought. So I always tell people, unless you're paying somebody to cosplay a particular thing, unless you're paying them, you don't get a say in how they cosplay or get to criticize it there. Have you ever had somebody who is a Patreon supporter try to tell you, oh, you should do this, you should do that? Like, does that happen at all?
You know what? Not on Patreon. I did have somebody once that was like, hey, like, you know, I subscribed, but on your Snap, because I did have, my Snap is private for Patreon users, and I do that. Mainly it's like work in progress. This is the next, you know, and I did that with my original character. I did like a whole Snapchat night of like ideas and whatnot, and I mixed in my personal life with it too, because it's the only Snapchat that I have. And I have 2 cats, and I had been snapping like the cats because they were doing something funny, and this person was like, yeah, you know, I unsubscribed because you're putting a lot of stuff of your cats in there, yada yada. And I was like, okay, that's fair. Like, I appreciate your feedback. I'm like, and I was like, you know what though, like, there are some patrons that like love them, and they're like, more cats. I've actually had patrons reach out to me and be like, can you like send more pictures of your cats? It's like, okay, I don't know what to do now. But I have had people on my actual Instagram that have like given me unnecessary feedback. I remember one in particular was my Android 18. Somebody was like, oh, you look nothing like her. This is a terrible cosplay. And I was like, well, I appreciate your honesty. I was like, I took it, I could have been super mean about it, but instead I was like, you know what, I appreciate the time that you took to comment and to actually look at the photo. Like, if you can give me any sort of like constructive criticism, what it is that you don't like about the cosplay, anything that you think I can do to make it more realistic, I would love to take it into consideration and hopefully put my skill set to use and maybe try to make it better. And immediately took it back. And he was like, you know what, it's actually not that bad. Like, I really enjoy Android 18 and you did a really good job. And I'm like, sometimes you just gotta kill these people with kindness, because I feel like a lot of the time they're either just seeking attention or like, I don't know what, honestly, I don't know what goes on in their heads when they say things like that. Sometimes I just don't have the energy to talk back. Sometimes I'm just like, whatever I can do to make it better, and most of the time that.
Yeah, and I go through it. I haven't had it a lot, but I always play these scenarios out of my head, and there's a part of me that would respond to the way you did, and there's a part of me that wants to say, okay, block, bye.
Yeah, right.
Say, well, not a lot of, not having the energy to do that. And there's a part of me that's like, okay, sorry, not sorry. I did what I wanted. Bye. Keep scrolling. So it's like, I don't know, like I probably would eventually still land on what you did, but of course that's from my head. Like, nobody asked you.
Right. That's the initial thought was like, I didn't ask for your feedback, you jerk. Right. But and you're right, we don't owe anybody anything when it comes to that stuff. When somebody's being a jerk flat out, you don't owe them anything. I think you and I have both been in like the cosplay game long enough to be like, we understand, we get like, it happens, it's going to happen, and you can either go the blocked route or you can go the other route, and hopefully they'll be nice and they'll follow you and they'll they'll end up liking your stuff, and then if not, blocked.
Right. And to those of y'all listening, if you get blocked, you didn't win. The person just values their peace and their energy more than they value arguing with you. Like, there are people who think they won or they get a kick out of getting blocked. Like,
Oh no. That's the thing is, like, once I block somebody, I completely forget about them. Like, I've looked at my block list before, like, because I'll be like, oh, like, I blocked somebody, and I look at the block list, and I'm like, I don't remember any of these people. Why did I block them?
Right.
It was like, once you've been blocked, you're not a thought in anybody's head anymore. Like,
Yeah.
so don't like, oh, good, this person's still blocked. I'm still angry about that one comment. I don't remember. Like, it could have been years to block these people, and I couldn't tell you why I did, but there had to have been a reason.
Yeah, true. All right, wrapping this up a little bit here. A couple of little fun questions before we get out.
Sure.
Actually, going back to wrestling again. So you're in the WWE.
Yeah.
You got I think I actually asked you this before. I think one of your live videos, I think I might have sent this question in now that I'm thinking about it. You get one like slam throw kind of move and one submission. What are your two finishers?
I think with the slam, that move, I think I went with the Hurricane Rana.
Okay.
Because I remember being a kid and doing that with figures all the time. I was always like, oh yeah, and I was like, I don't understand how this move works, but I'm going to pretend like I do. I would do that. Submission, that's an interesting one, because I'd never paid too much attention to the submission, so I don't remember it. I don't think I answered that one. I don't really know. I don't know what I would do for that. You know what? And maybe for nostalgic reasons, like the Walls of Jericho, I feel like it would be the one to go. Like, just because it just brings back like horribly fun memories of when I was a child and being held upside down and just hating it. I mean, it was also, I loved Chris Jericho. So I'm probably gonna go with that one. Why not?
Gotcha. All right. So one more. If someone has given you a blank check, but you can only use that money for cosplay, and one cosplay, what are you doing with it?
Ooh, one cosplay only.
But unlimited resources for it.
Unlimited resources for cosplay. Wow, that's a rough one. Because I feel like I'm not really into too many huge things. I think if I'm going to do a cosplay and spend the money on it, I would probably spend the money on somebody else making it for me. And it would probably be, and it's just off the top of my head, I'm sure I'll think of something better later on. It would probably be Perfect Self.
Oh, okay.
Because I feel like that would be really hard to make, and I've always wanted to try it, but there's so many parts to that cosplay, and that go into like the foam making, the painting of it, the face painting, the everything. Either that or Frieza. Frieza would be really cool too. Those are the two that I'm going to say right off my head, just because I would never. I'm not going to say I would never be able to make them myself, but I would definitely need a lot of help, and I think it would help.
Cool. So before we get out of here, anything you want to say? Where can people follow you at? Anything you're working on that people need to know about?
Yeah.
Let them know.
So I am going to be I'm Steggy Stardust, and you can find me across the board. You can find me on Patreon, you can find me on Instagram, on Facebook. I'm going to be at Chicago Pop Culture Con next Saturday, which is November 30th. That is here in St. Charles, and then after that, I'm going to be at C2E2 in Chicago at the end of February. You can check me out. Check me out also with my Art of the Tin Man and Rob Fury. We do a My Hero Academia podcast called Plus Ultra, the My Hero podcast. So if you guys are My Hero Academia fans, catch us on there. We just recap episodes and talk about character development and everything. So that's my little plug. That's where I'll be. That's where you guys can find me.
Cool. Well, thank you for joining me. Everybody watching, thank you for joining us. Y'all have a good night. Y'all have a good time at whatever con you're going to next. Good luck on your cosplay builds. Please hit that like button, that subscribe button, that share button. Do all of that for her as well. And I will see y'all at the next video. Peace.